What's up, everyone? Welcome to the What's Your Five podcast, the show that asks, if you were limited to just 5 picks on any given topic, what would they be? I'm your host, Rodel, and joining me is my good friend, always riding shotgun, my man, Anthony.
What's up, y'all?
So tonight's episode is going to be a pretty good one, pretty fun one. I know I say that most of the time, but I think it's going to be good. It's going to be top 5 martial arts films of all time.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is one of the awesome ones, man.
This is going to be a good one. So we've been in a little hiatus lately. If you saw the last episode or listened to the last episode, we had our, guest speaker, Mark Julio, who's a good friend of mine. I'm really appreciate
awesome guest.
And if you guys haven't had a chance to listen to it, please do. But we're back. I'm super stoked. How are you doing? I haven't talked to you in like a while. Like, what's going on?
I've been in and out. Yeah, I'm the only one that can walk between worlds.
Yeah.
I've been good. I've been super slammed with stuff. I've got multiple projects going on and working full time on top of that. And then I've got things I'm trying to wrap up for like Halloween, and yeah, it's a lot on my side. So it's a lot of things I'm playing catch up with.
So when you say Halloween, are you just talking about just like the holiday? Like, are you do the trick or treating type of deal? Or you give out candy? I mean,
well, in the marketing world, we have these benchmarks, like these KPIs that are just like, well, Halloween's coming up. Guess what? We got to mark these off the box. Yeah. Thanksgiving is one. It's a lesser one, but then Christmas obviously is a big one.
Right.
And then you got New Year's, and all these holidays are kind of like, that you're going to be ramping up stuff. For some marketers, it's going to be like trade shows, depending on their industries. But if you're like a global marketer, like the consumer industry, every holiday, everything kicks up because you're running all these campaigns and everything for these specific holidays.
Are you, do you know that your fiscal year for your company is like true to year? Like December is your end of fiscal, or is it? Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's how we do it.
All right. Sorry for the boring stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That's technical talk.
And now we're going to discuss the stock market and the bear market that it's taken lately.
Indeed. By the way, real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to my girl Ivy. It was her birthday on September 11th. So happy birthday, Ivy! I know you said you wanted a shout out. So
nice. You didn't die this year, so congratulations to you. Everybody should have an extra flavorful birthday if they made it past 2020. I think it should be more of significant than any other birthday.
Absolutely. I mean, like, I think I saw a shirt the other day. It was and of course it was like video game font. It was select difficulty. It was like easy, medium, hard, hard. No, hard 2020. So
2020 expert level.
Yeah, for sure. Because man, you're just dodging bullets left and right. So yeah, it's been a while. Again, I know you've been busy with work. I've been just slammed. I've been working weekends for the past month, and it's just been killing me. But I was able to actually get time to record, and I missed you. So, I wish I could just give you a nice big hug.
We should expect some bashing because we're the ones complaining that, oh my God, we're so busy with all this work and our jobs. And I'm like, how many people are laid off right now? They're less like, you know what? Screw you guys.
Yeah, right. So we just
you know what? I'm not busy at all. Screw you.
So we pretty much just lost half of our listener base. So.
I don't even know what a furlough is.
Yeah, what is this thing? Is it a horse term?
I'm sorry that I was not furloughed.
No, I was not furloughed either. I am an essential worker, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately. Yeah. So get that out of the way. The other thing is I wanted to mention as well is I wanted to thank everybody that's been listening to our podcast for this time now. We really appreciate all the subs, all the comments. All the love is just truly. We're truly fortunate to hear all that, and our special guests as well. If you haven't already, if you're listening to this right now, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube or on any other platform that you're listening to this on. Hit that bell for any type of notifications for any new episodes.
Do it.
And, go ahead and follow us. What's your _5 on all social media platforms, all that good stuff. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. But yes, thank you very much, guys, for sticking it in with us. And, we're going to be continuing to keep these shows going. Hopefully, as long as I don't die from my work, but I think we should be okay.
Can I tell you how giddy I was when, I sign on and then I see like, ooh, somebody left a comment. Ooh, you have a new subscriber. I'm like, I wonder if is this Rodel's grandmother or something? Who is this subscribing?
Right. Oh man. You know what?
This is a
And
person we don't know. Who is
who
this?
is this person? I'm all like, yes. Like,
And
thank
then they
goodness.
commented on something that happened like 30 minutes in. I'm like, they watched the whole episode? Who is this person?
We didn't pay you guys. I promise you. This is completely out of
Ooh.
yeah, like ooh, right. So I think with the topic that we talked that we're discussing today, top 5 martial arts movies. I mentioned this to Anthony. I think this was even pre podcast, right? Because we've always talked about action movies. We always talked about
It's
kung fu
come up a
movies.
couple times.
It's come up a couple of times, and he was just telling me prior to the show. I was telling him like, I bet you I know at least one of your movies. You're like, nope. I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm pretty good at guessing your movies here, but I am very, very, very excited to know.
You really have me intrigued to see if you can even guess one
Oh, I
thing
can.
that
Oh,
is
I'm
on
totally
my
gonna do it.
list.
Oh, I'm totally gonna do it. And so let's preface this, right? So again, we're going for top 5 kung fu movies of all time. If you were stuck on an island or you were stuck in Mars, something along the nature of those situations, and you had only 5 kung fu movies that you could watch. That's it. What would they be, right? That's where we're going
That's
with
how I
it.
look at it. It's always like I'm stuck on a space pod, and these are the ones that I'm going to have.
This time though, I'm actually going to rank my movies.
You're going in
Yeah.
order?
I'm actually going to go in order from 5 to 1, and this is not going to be one of those. Oh, this is not. No, this is my order. This is the way it's going to go down. So that's my preface. I don't know if you
Wow.
have any other specialty items that you
I,
want
I,
to.
I will say while you brought that up that my number one on my list
Mhm.
is actually my number
Okay,
one.
good. All right. At least we can compare the two. So, all right. Let's just get to it, man. I'm so ready for this. So,
Who
I
starts
want.
this week? I lost
Ooh,
track.
let's see. So I think it was guest last week. I'm gonna start this week just because it's been such a long time and I'm feeling good about myself. So top 5 martial arts movies. Here we go. Martial arts meaning anything kung fu action related. We're gonna start this off with a banger. One of my favorite actors of all time for kung fu movies or action movies in general is Jackie Chan. Easy enough.
Ooh.
Very versatile across the board. I mean, can you speak English? Kind of not really.
Well
But
enough, as
well
well as
enough.
Schwarzenegger.
Right. But I mean, you get the gist and the idea of it. But what's crazy is, all of his and this is goes back to movies where you watch in, like, if you watch anime and you watch dubs, not the best experience in the world. But if you watch kung fu movies in dubs, completely different story. Like the way, I mean, whether it's comedic or it actually flows with the movie, great. So with that, I want to tell you that my number 5 of all time is Drunken Master 2. Legend of the Drunken Master 2.
I knew it. I knew
No,
exactly where
you
you were going
did
when you said
not.
Jackie Chan. You said Jackie Chan. I'm just like, it is one of two movies. Right now, he is about to say, he's either going to say
Mm,
Drunken Master 2 from 1993,
yep.
or he's going to say Meals on Wheels. And I'm just like, I really think it's going to be Drunken Master.
Drunken Master 2 was quite an amazing movie. I love Drunken Master 1 was actually really good too. I
Mhm.
love old school like kung fu movies straight out the dubs, Peking Opera House type of movies. All that. I love those movies. Drunken Master 2 was kind of like a good in betweener in that. I mean in betweener, but I mean like just something that was more modernized, but the fight scenes in there, especially at the end, was just so good. And when he was, messing with the hot rod and the flames going up and then getting himself drunk, it was just there were so many different acrobatic scenes in that movie, especially when he was gone the hot coals. Oh man, I was just like, how did you
Which
do
he
that?
actually did.
He did, and it's funny because if you take a look and you look really closely, you see the bad guy when he goes on the coal, when Jackie Chan jumps on the coals and like he goes on there, you see the bad guy actually giving a thumbs up to the camera, going like this. And so,
This is good
yeah, this is
stuff.
good stuff, guys. This is good. It's great. And so you just look at, you're just like, oh my god. And Jackie Chan does like a ton of all his stunts, which is insane. So, I mean, I got to give it up to the fact that not only was it like old school picking opera house style with a lot of different choreography. I do want to say I'm not sure if Yuan Wu Ping actually choreographed all of it. I'm not sure if he choreographed this one. I gotta look, but I know for sure that it's just the way that this was orchestrated was just
I have always
tremendous.
taken it that Jackie has had kind of 50-50 input, anything
Right,
after like 90 or 91.
right, yeah. But oh man, it's such a good movie. If you guys have not watched it, please do. It's one of my all time favorites. Just something that you can watch all the time, and you see like
Wow.
yeah. So that's my number 5, sir. So you
Damn, you came out hard, dude.
hard,
I did not
hard
expect that even on your list at all. I was expecting all of these commercially American movies that are
American
quote
Ninja.
unquote martial arts movies. And I was just like, I was, and again, I was expecting like maybe you'll go Meals on Wheels or something like that, or
Hmm?
maybe Super Cop, maybe even. But I was just like, man, you went Drunken Master.
I will say, when we agreed on this, I actually had to do research because it's been a while since I've seen these movies. Not to say that I watch these consistently, but I actually had to go on my server, download all my stuff. I know you have them on DVD. I know, old man, but I had to get all this stuff and I had to rewatch it because I'm just like, okay, let me see if I remember. Yes, I totally remember that. Yes, I remember that. Oh my god, that was amazing. How the hell did you do that? Go on.
Drunken Master is not one that I have to rewatch. Like I can, if they put me in solitary confinement, I could like literally just play
Oh,
the movie in my head. Like the scene where he's fighting the gangsters when they take the mother's purse,
oh
and
yeah.
he's doing this thing where he's drinking and
Yep.
leaning back on the guy, and the guy comes out from under him. And I
Yes.
remember like, is he doing that? Is that real? Are they
Yeah.
holding him up with something? How is he doing that? Or when he fights the guy in the marketplace who's the Charlie Fu is the
Yes.
best
Yes. Yep.
martial art. No, I've seen
Yeah.
this movie the fight under the train tracks with the
Oh,
spears and
with
all
Spear. Oh,
this,
that
and
was so good when he was trying to get the ginseng out. Oh man, I was like,
and the funny thing is the ginseng part alone, no martial arts required, was so tense for me because I'm
yeah.
just like, oh my god, he's about to check the bag. What's gonna
Oh, what's gonna?
happen?
Yeah, right.
And it's
Oh,
just a plot device. It's not even anything serious,
oh,
but I was
it's
just like
nothing.
really into that part.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I realized that a lot. Obviously, these movies are not meant for. These aren't cinematic masterpieces here in the sense of story, but man, can I tell you, it is a driving force, obviously. And later on, I'm going to mention something, and I'll let you know. I'll be like, okay, just so you know this and this, and you'll get it. But all right, so Drunken Master 2, my number 5, my real number 5. None of this like, oh, this is kind of no. Number 5, Drunken Master 2. Anthony, tell me what your number 5 is.
I need a moment to collect myself after that pick.
Are
Made
we
me
now best friends
emotional.
again?
I'm so proud. Okay, so my number 5, which again I will say that, so I kind of took the route that I took with my music artist on this. I
Oh.
tried to be objective and clinical about this and
Hmm.
cover a spread of movies that I thought stood out to me. Once I looked through the pantheon of martial arts movies, quote, martial arts slash kung fu movies, if you really want to go back in the day,
Yes, sir.
um, and I tried to take a lot of the action movies out of this, which was meaning like martial arts artists who kind of rely on guns,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
there's a lot of those, and I'm just like, no, don't want them relying on guns, so to speak. Because I mean, John Wick could be a martial arts movie if you look at it that way, but
Or
I
or
limited
gun
those.
fu Christian Bale,
Yes,
equilibrium.
equilibrium, things like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it. So I kind of took those out of the equation.
Okay.
Um, so my number 5 was Kung Fu Hustle.
Ooh.
And I
Mm.
went with that because the comedy element. Now, let me say up front, I know this is not the first Kung Fu comedy movie. I am familiar. Jackie Chan was
Check.
doing it way before that. There's a ton of old school Kung Fu movies that were doing comedy.
Yep.
Even Red Dragon with Jet Li and
Yep.
those like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this was more outside of that scope where he took it to the next level. made it cartoony, made it almost
Yes.
so interesting that he was walking a line that it was almost a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Yet the kung fu was still really good.
Oh, so good. So good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and everything was just kind of hyper, like made even faster. Like you had lightning punches and Ip Man and things like that.
Right.
And he's just like, I'm just gonna take that to the nth degree, and they're doing like super fast punches and
Oh yeah.
toe crushes and things like that.
Yeah, it's all like all superhuman type of deal. I mean, if you guys haven't watched Kung Fu Hustle, the Shaolin monks and all that stuff, this is by far one of the best modern one of the best modern Kung Fu movies that's out today.
Yeah,
Like for sure. I mean, between that and Shaolin Soccer,
yeah,
those two, because obviously they're made by the same or made by the same
yeah.
made by the
Stephen
same
Chow.
Stephen
Yep,
Chow, yeah.
yep.
And just the action in the film was very very choreographed very well, but I loved the comedic elements to it, like the mom or the what was it, the mom, right, the yeller, like the
Oh yeah, she was the fat. Oh, so fat lady. Are
yeah
you the
so
boss around here? She was the landlord who like kind
yeah
of like ran the community there.
yeah. So I mean, it was just there's a ton of references in there. I loved watching that movie. I haven't seen that movie, God, man, in at least like 10 years, man. But I remember very clearly as far as like all the gangsters trying to come in, and like once he found his deal, and he started like just busting out everybody. Oh, it was great, so good.
And
So
and the storyline wasn't bad, right? Because he in the
no,
beginning of the movie he starts as a hustler.
yeah,
He's trying to pass himself off as a member of the Axe Gang, and he's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
And he gets these tattoos on the heavier friend, like,
yeah,
oh, he's a member. Like you better be careful and give us free stuff,
yep.
free haircuts, free food, because he's a member of the notorious Axe Gang.
Oh,
So he starts off being fraudulent. He's hustling this small community in
yep.
China. And then it also turns out that the people in the community are also
Also,
hustling because it's like they're pretending to be something they're not.
yep,
You had the guy who was just like moving rice around, and he's a kung fu master, and then everybody's a kung fu master, and they're all
master.
just hiding in this village.
Yep,
And that within itself was kind of a cool twist. It's just like, oh, this guy who's just like, he's just a lackey. He moves heavy things around and does remedial work.
right.
But he's like this super kung fu master. I think it was the hairstylist. No, it wasn't the hairstylist. It was I think it was the clothing guy,
Oh
and he
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
this really feminine guy,
Yep.
and he's like, "Oh no, don't hurt me!" And he's a kung fu master. So then you kind of wonder, like, how far does this go?
Go.
And then
Yeah.
it's just everybody's just lying. Um, so even that within itself was intriguing.
Yeah.
Super entertaining movie. It's a funny movie.
Yeah.
I've watched it both in Chinese and I've watched it English dub,
Okay.
and I've compared the two. Um, the jokes are funnier in Chinese, but if you speak English originally, you probably enjoy it more in the English dub.
Okay. Yeah.
There's
I
nothing I
agree with
don't
that.
like about this movie. Even
No,
the
yeah.
graphics were really good.
Yeah, and again, modernized movie in that respect, because again, a lot of kung fu movies were very, analog strings, not a lot of effects. The effects that were done in this movie were actually done very well. It wasn't too out of, I mean, it was out of this world in a sense, because that's how they wanted to portray it. It wasn't like, if you ever watch, I don't know if you ever watched Storm Riders. Did you ever watch Storm
Yes,
Riders?
very long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and like Storm Riders was just like out there, right? But like the effects on there were just kind of cheesy, But I mean,
Yeah,
this was kind of meant to be that type of cheesy, but it was
yeah.
done in a very tasteful way. So
And he was smart because a lot of the effects are just blur.
right,
And it's just like, so when they're running fast or they're punching fast, I'm like, a
yep,
blur is the easiest effect you can get away with because the eye doesn't see any
yeah,
detail.
yeah,
And then some
absolutely,
of the other ones are just like, oh, that looked really cool. And you don't question it too much because in that environment that he creates, it's a cartoon with human
yep,
people, so it's fine.
indeed, it's definitely what was that Scanner Darkly, cartoon
Oh
with like
yeah, yeah, I
Michael?
remember
Yeah,
Scanner Darkly.
yeah, so
Rotoscoping, yeah.
yeah, yeah, something like that. So good deal. All right, Kung Fu Hustle, good choice. I agree. That's good deal. I mean, at this point, I think we're going to be pretty much agreeing on everything. Kind of unfortunate because I actually like disagreeing with you, but because we're just so nice people, it's kind of
It's actually pretty weird because
it
we're
is
so
pretty
different.
weird. We're so different, but yet the same.
If you guys want to see us disagree, watch our music episode.
Yeah, yeah. Or give us any topics that you would want to view. Topics at whatyour5.com. All right, number 4. So number 4 was a choice that I made because this was the first kung fu movie I've ever watched in my lifetime. And I think the entire script can be written on, I would say, about 3 pages of paper. Um, I can pretty much recite this entire movie, just by watching. If you give me like 3 seconds of the movie, I can probably tell you what movie, what part of that movie it was, and I can tell you what the line is after that. This movie is, and also, this movie is also very influential because the man Bruce Lee, kind of brought this into the forefront. So, easy choice here for me at least. Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah, I know you saw that one coming, and we talked about this before offline, and I feel personally that Enter the Dragon, while it's, again, you gotta give it its credit for what it brought to the table as far as how it portrayed Chinese Americans as heroes, the way it was shot, his actions, his wata and all the other stuff, and like his emotion really broke out and started a just cultural revolution as to how you see it today. Fighting game characters, people's mantras, all this stuff, and it's I wouldn't say everything is related to Enter the Dragon, but it's very, very close.
Yeah.
And it's truly unfortunate that he wasn't able to see what his legacy was brought out. But granted, maybe his legacy, maybe this was his, that was the legacy he wanted to bring. But yeah, I mean, between the guard fight, in the cave, which is probably one of my favorite guard fights of all time, because that's truly the it's truly the kung fu rule, which is don't everybody attack at once. Make sure it's 1% at a time, so that way you don't get confused and mixed up. You guys
remember your number, because you have to go in exact sequence and time it out.
Exactly. Like, okay, you're gonna go bare fist. Okay, next you're gonna go with the po. Okay, great. Now you're gonna go nunchucks. Great. Okay, you're gonna give it to him. Okay, and make sure that he does his cool move, and then you're gonna grab a stick, and then you're gonna try to get him, and he's totally gonna jack you up. So, again, Bruce Lee was awesome. But who doesn't get enough credit in that movie?
Chuck Norris.
No, Chuck Norris was not in this movie. Jim
Chuck
Kelly
Norris is in every movie. You just don't see him because he's so fast.
Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. No, O'Hara was not Chuck Norris. I'll tell you that. But Jim Kelly does not get enough credit, man. I mean, that guy in that movie was so cool.
Yeah.
And like he had so many. It was a smooth dude. Like, man, you come right out of a comic book. And then just goes into stance and just goes to town, and then he gets jacked up. But yeah, man, I mean, I loved Enter the Dragon.
You went for him, huh? I was more of a fan of John Saxon.
Really? No. I mean,
oh man,
I just dirty.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just wanted to see him spin kick Freddy Krueger in the face, and then I'm just like, no. make Tina's nightmares go away with your kung fu.
What part actually creeped me out in that movie was and again, I was a kid, so I never really understood this part, but it was the part where Han pushes Jim Kelly into the room where all the girls were all doing drugs. And again, I'm a kid, I have no idea, but what freaked me out the most was the girls that had the painted faces. With like the hearts on there and stuff. That's like totally creepy. It was like Dumbo status, where where Dumbo got drunk and then like all this stuff starts coming out at you. Dude, it was scary as hell. I don't know.
The concubines.
Yeah, the concubines.
I throw you into the concubine room.
Oh my goodness.
To which you push me in that room. I'm just like, all right, thanks. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone in there myself. So
I would have known
for
about
the extra push.
Yeah.
As a kid, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking like, oh, those are adults partying. That's what adults do when they party. Mm-hmm. That's that noise I'm always hearing that I'm not allowed to see because they send me upstairs.
Yeah. Go play with your video game, son. Yeah, it was definitely something I was just like, what the hell? And then, or you see Williams like hanging, and like in weird. I don't know why he was dressed the way he was. That was also weird, but yeah, again, you know,
because
there's
of
so
the
many.
time and because of the drugs, all the kung fu drugs.
I don't know what the hell it was. All
So
I
many
know
kung
is
fu drugs.
so yeah, there's a lot of kung fu drugs. I don't know, but I mean, you know, again, you're not looking at this as cinematic masterpiece, right? This is not. I mean,
No.
granted, this is a very influential piece in time in history, sure, but you know,
Yeah.
if you're gonna judge this on an Academy Award, you're not gonna win anything coming out of this. You know, you're not getting the best movie of the year. I'll tell you that. Anthony, what is your number 4, sir?
5 Deadly Venoms.
You're really going with Kill Bill.
No, I'm going with 5 Deadly Venoms.
Oh, okay, Five Deadly Venoms.
That's
All
the name
right.
of the movie. Are you not familiar with this movie?
I gotta say, I'm not. Apparently not. I thought we were talking about Kill Bill, because wasn't that what was the Five Deadly Vipers? The Five Deadly Venoms.
Yeah, that was yeah, I think it was 5 killer vipers or something.
I have to look this up,
Oh, now
but
you got me worried that I'm getting this movie wrong.
uh,
It is 5 Venoms, right? Or is it 7?
no, it's Five Deadly Venoms is what is the movie that
Man,
you're
you got me
referring to.
questioning myself, man. 'Cause 1978,
Yeah, it was
5 Deadly
1978. Yep,
Venoms.
it was 1978. Five Deadly Venoms. I was actually, you know, I'm sure I've seen this in you know.
Okay, so
in
now
time.
what was the one in Kill Bill called?
I
It was
wish.
the Deadly Viper.
Deadly Vipers. It
So
was the
how did you
deadly.
get those conflated?
It was the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad.
There's no not even a number in that. So how are you getting
I
that
don't. I
conflated?
thought it was the Five Vipers. I'm sorry. You know what? Forget
I
it.
thought it was the Temptations. I thought Lionel Richie was in it. I don't know. Sometimes I just put things together. Don't judge me. We're all equal in my eyes.
Just because they're Chinese doesn't mean they're.
So my answer was the 5 Deadly Venoms.
Okay,
I'm going to overlook the fact of whatever the hell you just said.
okay.
I saw this movie when I was super young. I was a
Okay.
kid, and I watched it at my best friend's house. His brother was a collector of anime and movies. He was the one that originally introduced me to anime.
Okay.
I was super poor, remember, didn't have
Yes,
TV and all this.
yes.
So I go to my friend's house because they had like a TV for one.
Yeah.
And then his brother had a collection of animes that were out at the time. Granted, this was early 90s, late 80s, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in order to get any form of entertainment beyond a book,
Yeah.
I'd go to my friend's house and they had comic books. He was a big X-Men. His bigger brother, was a big X-Men reader, collected old school kung fu movies, collected animes, and that's how I got exposed to all that stuff.
All right.
5 Deadly Venoms was one of the movies I came across. I think it was 1978, which
Yep.
obviously I didn't see when it came out because that's like when I was born.
Yep.
And he put it on, I guess it was VHS at the time, and we'd watch them, and I'm just like, woo, like a movie. You know, this is like the only entertainment I could get because I never went to a movie theater.
Wow.
And I did draw a picture of one on cardboard once and stare at it for a while and use my imagination.
All right.
Our imagination, people. So I saw this, and it was like really cool because the concept of it was that each of these warriors had like these different set of powers, right? You had the guy that was the toad, and his skin was like impenetrable. You had a guy that was like the lizard, and he could walk up walls and stuff. So really, it was like the closest thing at the time to a superhero movie. Even though it was a kung fu movie, because they didn't make a lot of superhero movies at the time. These guys basically had these superpowers, right? Where they could do these superhuman things based on the type of kung fu that they learned.
Right.
And so I remember one guy like being put in an Iron Maiden and something like that, like just to prove his skin was impenetrable, and they all had these different styles to it. So for me, it was just like a natural classic. I gravitated towards it, and I was just like, this is awesome. Like I love this, and I could not tell you a word of dialogue or if I watched it in English or not, but I can remember the visuals and I can remember the fight scenes.
Right. Okay. Good deal. I can dig it. A lot of the strings movies, I like to call them. Those are ones that I remember watching a lot of them. I remember renting a lot of them through Blockbuster.
I didn't even think about that. It was one of those string movies. Like you say string movies, and I'm always thinking like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something like that, where it's like super, like they're dancing across trees and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Obviously, that's how they did a lot of the effects. But
Oh yeah, I mean it's all. I mean, they're superhuman. And so a lot of that stuff, I have a very like close close relationship to, just because we watched a lot of it growing up, my brother and I, and we would rent the movies. Any if it had any type of if it had any type of like Asian like hero doing like a kung fu like stance on a video box, it was being rented. Number three. So we're at number three. This one was bound to get on here one way or another, and I'm pretty sure you're probably going to guess which one it is. But you know, we didn't necessarily rent this movie, but it came on TV all the time, and then we also had HBO, so we would watch it all the time. And there was no such thing as on demand at the time, but we would always catch it, and it would always be at the part where the guy cuts the brim off the hat and says, and so basically,
don't do it, Rodell.
I'm sorry, but I got to, man.
Save yourself.
If I'm going to put a kung fu movie in here, martial arts movie in here, I have to put it in my list.
Let me finish my drink.
I'm sorry, man, but I gotta tell you, it's Bloodsport, baby. Bloodsport. The movie.
Yeah, I knew this was gonna make your list from the last time we discussed it.
But this has got to be on my list for top 5 martial arts movies of all time, because it has comedy, it has action, it has splits, it has the muscles from Brussels. It has so many good lines,
kind of sexiness all over.
Oh, absolutely. You have OK USA. You have just so many good, Oh man, who cares if Bruce Springsteen is his Sadoshi? I mean, who really, right? The action in the movie was really cool. What I loved about this movie as well is it very much had a good Street Fighter vibe to it, and I was me, I'm a Street Fighter fan. So between the sumo guy and the guy that acts like a monkey,
is this movie before Street Fighter or is it after Street Fighter?
No, it's before. I think Bloodsport was 8.
Bloodsport came first?
Yes, Bloodsport definitely came.
I had never honestly made that connection between the two. And I know it's like Street Fighter World Warrior, right? It's like you get all these people from different parts of the world.
Right.
I remember Street Fighter, like when you had a next match, if you played by yourself, there'd be a plane going from one part of the world to another.
Yep.
And I don't think I ever made that connection between Street Fighter and all, that it was a World Fighter Championship and Bloodsport. But now it seems like, holy crap, like how is that not like the most obvious thing in the world? Which one came first?
Yeah.
And, of course, the story of Frank Dukes is supposed to be his real story, so you can't say
it is the real story, Anthony, okay? He has the fastest knockout. Please
get that right.
It's
all been debated. Yeah.
There's a YouTube video, if you guys ever decide to Google it one time, it's about how crazy and ridiculous Frank Dukes, the real guy, actually is. Like, he's actually he's kind of like cuckoo crazy. And apparently he had a lot of beef with Jean-Claude doing all this movie. I think we talked about this before when he was talking about how he had to rewrite the movie and do all these different things and whatnot. But back to reasoning. I mean, you guys know. If you guys don't know, you guys should listen to the first 5 episodes. I mean, there's Bloodsport references here and there. What is it about this movie? I don't know. It's a guy thing, I guess. I don't know, but I know that it's one of my favorite martial art movies, one of my favorite movies of all time, really, just because, again, there's, every single gamut. I mean, if you want to put another movie right next to it, it'd be like Naked Gun. That's another one of my favorites.
So I'm going to steal one of your phrases. Bloodsport is a movie that is very near and dear to my heart.
Damn right.
It's just like, it has everything I could want in a movie.
I know. Love this guy, man. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Shout outs to you, brother. All right. So you're probably going to edit everything out. It's okay. Not a big deal. So number 3.
Chopping block, everything.
This show should only be 5 minutes. Number 3.
Next time on What's Your 5? I love Bloodsport. And that's the end of it. Roll credits.
Roll credits. We're done. No more.
I will say that I didn't put Bloodsport on my list at all.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
So, because I knew it'd be on your list, number one, which is also a reason Best of the Best is not on my list. Because I'm just like, I'm not gonna bother covering those. And number two, because Bloodsport is like in my best movies. I don't
Yeah,
need
I
to be in
know.
my best martial arts movies.
I can put it on my list.
It transcends martial arts movies completely.
It does.
It would be an insult to just put it in that category and limit it to that. The romance in it is just too much. I can't just ignore the romance and the action of the agents.
No.
So what am I on? Like my number three?
You're number three. You're
Number three. My number three, which it sounded like you were about to talk crap about. Now I'm gonna have to defend it. Is Kill Bill?
Yeah.
Because you were like, "Why are you? Are you about to say Kill Bill?" Yes, I'm gonna say Kill Bill. Let's talk about why I'm gonna say Kill Bill.
Please.
You woman-hating person. It's like there's not been a female hero martial artist in the longest time. You have the bride from Kill Bill, and before her, you have what? Cynthia Rothrock? Maybe?
No, China
You got
O'Brien.
a couple
No,
other characters who are not main characters. You got what? I mean, Scarlett Johansson being the Black Widow, who I love, but it's fine, but she hasn't had her own movie yet, and I don't even know if it's martial arts. And she's an assassin who uses guns, so that takes her out of the equation. Which female character do you have doing purely kung fu and sword fighting that you can lean on? Since like Cynthia Rothrock doing her thing back in the day,
she was. And by the way, she wasn't. Cynthia Rothrock was doing it with the a bow. She did it with long
I know,
stick.
I remember.
Yeah.
And she had the super high kicks where she'd pin people against the wall. She was super hot.
All right.
Okay,
She was super hot.
Give me a female martial artist who was like really as And I'm not saying Uma Thurman is a female martial artist. She played a character.
All right.
I got that. She's not the legit thing, but.
Okay, so are you talking about main? Are you talking about supporting? Or are you talking about anybody in general?
I'm talking about it's their movie. Like, I mean, okay, like you got like Atomic Blonde. She's an assassin. She's using guns. You got Angelina Jolie in Salt. She's using guns. She's an assassin. You have Ava. You got all these movies where there's female assassins all over the place, but they're not martial artists.
Lucy?
She was like an enhanced person using mental control and stuff like that. You talk about the Luke Besson?
Yeah. No, the Lucy, the one with the Scarlett Johansson, right? Where she took the
martial arts movie. That was a sci-fi. She was just levitating people with her mind and stuff.
I always thought that she was. Maybe I'm getting mixed up with something else, but
I
don't know.
All right. Well, okay. There was a chimp who knew martial arts named Lucy. Super advanced chimp.
Oh, it's always nice. Okay, I'm not saying Kill Bill is a bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying that, I thought Five Deadly Venoms was the name of the group of the people. So I thought you were trying to make it. I thought you were trying to do like a cool intro to be like, hey, the Five Deadly Venoms, Kill Bill. And be like, no, it didn't really work out that way. So explain to me. I mean, it's funny because I was just talking about this with Jess, with the wife. And she was saying how this was a gateway to watching, kung fu movies in America. True or false?
For sure.
You think so? I always thought I thought The Matrix was.
No, because Matrix was still sci-fi. It wasn't true to being a kung fu movie. If you watch Kill Bill and you watch the Tarantino version, again, I don't think about the Volume 1, Volume 2 thing. It was
it's just one movie. Yeah.
Even though they want to cut his stuff up, but if you watch it, he pulls the essence of so the cruel tutelage of Pai Mei. Right. Pai Mei was a character who was in vintage martial arts kung fu movies since like 76, maybe before or after that. He was a reoccurring character in kung fu. We're talking about actual choreographed kung fu, not a bunch of sci-fi. I mean, she's actually learning how to use a sword and all this. Mm-hmm. So it was more true to form. So if you, as an American, a modern American, could watch Kill Bill and go, "Oh my God, this is awesome," you're going to gravitate towards, the Enter the 36 Chambers and Seven Samurai and all those vintage things like that, because that's where he was pulling from. Sure. Other than her costume, which was the Bruce Lee costume, of course.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was a revenge flick by itself, this is all very traditional kung fu.
Sure.
Where The Matrix, I'm looking at it like, he knows kung fu, but he's also using a bunch of guns and it's being programmed into his brain, which removes you from the fact that it's pure I took years of my life to learn this skill. I think even Batman Begins goes closer to traditional kung fu than like the Matrix would, because it's an actual discipline, an actual art of somebody actually doing fighting versus plug it into my brain and now I know how to fight, but I also shoot most of the people, so I don't bother to fight anyway. So I still think it's more of a gateway towards, man, I need to watch some of those old vintage movies if this was what they were about.
Right. Totally. All right.
So, and again, I will say the majority of, other than the fact that I like most of what Tarantino does,
Right.
is that we don't come across many kick-ass female heroines like her.
Yep.
And I'm not gonna say it's a perfect movie or anything like that, but I really did enjoy the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that it was an old school revenge flick where it's just like you didn't need a complicated story. They screwed her over. She's gonna get them back. There was not much more to it. Let's see a bunch of cool fight scenes, and all of them were really well choreographed. Her and Daryl Hannah going at it was great in that really confined space, which they've used a couple times since. They even used it in the raid with I think he was fighting like in a bathroom or something. I've seen fights in closets and stuff. But it was really cool to see them that they couldn't pull out the swords because they're in these narrow hallways.
Right.
Her fighting in the snow against Renchi and with the snow falling was very old school, traditional.
Very old school. Yeah.
Her fighting was it Vivica Fox? Who did she?
Yeah, it was Vivica Fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
fighting her in the home and then them having to stop the fight for the sake of the little girl. All this stuff has been done in very old school traditional martial arts movie. But the fact that the main heroine is a woman, which you just don't get a lot of, and I'm saying a woman, like no one's helping her, it's just her, and she's not an action star. She's not an assassin. It is just kung fu.
No, but she was an assassin in the movie. That's why she was.
Well, they were all assassins, but I mean, I guess I should say, she was not sniping people with a gun.
No.
It was all like just skill fighting.
All skill based. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And again, I am not discrediting the fact that this movie is amazing, because the movie is amazing. I mean, by far, you hit all the points on there. I'm not saying that that's not the case. All I'm saying is that there's other movies that you can choose, but
with a female heroine,
not necessarily. I mean, if you're going to look that all the way back, not necessarily Cynthia Rothrock, but I mean, I'm sure there are other. I know there's other movies that are like of the string base that you can find that are female. That
don't immediately come to mind because they weren't impactful enough.
Exactly. But I mean, obviously Tarantino's pretty damn impactful, right? I mean, like,
I mean, when you gouge out somebody's eye, it kind of sticks with you.
Hey, man. It's a sensitive topic, man.
Shoot somebody through a cereal box and like, I don't know, it sticks with you.
I know. Oh, man. Okay. Number two. My choice is not, it was chosen because of the elegance. We talked about this movie already a while ago, so I mean, it's no surprise that it's on here. But I loved this movie because of the way it was shot. Also, the story. This is actually, I think this won Academy Awards, and that was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Okay. And it did win awards. Yeah,
it did win awards.
Yeah,
and I rewatched this movie a couple of days ago, and I remember watching it way when it came out, and thinking that the fight scenes were great, and this was during the time when Michelle Yeoh was really big, or she was becoming
that really made her.
Yeah, for sure. And Zhang Ziyi made her for sure. Chow Yun-fat, he was known more for action movies, not necessarily being who he was as Lee. But what I loved about this movie, and again watching this just recently, is that I love that the story was pretty relevant, right? I didn't like. I will admit I didn't like the love story between Zhang Ziyi and Lo Shen, like the Raider guy. Like I care less about that. I was more in tune with Michelle Yeoh and Chow Yun-fat's characters and how they couldn't be together and all that. But between that, the fight scenes in there were just wow, like just so crazy. And again, this goes back to the fight choreographer Yuen Wu Ping. He did it, and he's, like I said, one of the most amazing choreographers I've ever seen do it. Do the show, and he did the Matrix and all that as well. And the way that it was shot, I mean, yes, it was kind of crazy because they were they were flying, and like there was no
Yeah.
real explanation as to where they were flying other than the fact that they read a book. But even then, it's just like,
With absolute training.
yeah, with absolute training, all of a sudden you can just fly. You can just
You
do
control
this,
your
and
body
then
weight.
what was it? Do
Master
this,
gravity.
yeah, go from there. And just the way, like I said, I love the cinematography of the movie,
Yeah.
and I love even watching it in I watched it in the subtitles, and it's just it's one of those like beautiful movies. Like you ever watch a movie where it's just beautiful. You just don't really want to like either not want to stop it, or you're just like, huh, wow,
Yeah,
and
that
like,
1912 movie was really well shot.
yeah, oh
It
yeah,
was just you could just look at it with the sound off and
yes.
enjoy the cinematography of that movie.
Oh, man, that was such a great movie. I remember watching that too, and like and you could feel, and that was the other thing too. You felt it, and this all goes back to what the show's about, right? Like these five things and these five choices that you have. They have to have some type of feeling. It has to invoke some like dang, like that really got me. Like 1912 got me. You're like, wow, like I can't believe that happened, or like, I can't believe Lee died, because of the damn poison. She didn't get in time with the stupid horse. Way to go there, like,
Yeah.
like could have got there faster with a car, right? But like it was just it was you felt it and you're just like, wow, like it's like, oh, I'd rather be, what did he say? He said something super G when he died. It was like, I'd rather be a wandering ghost, be with you forever, than be without you, or something along those
Which gets
lines.
you all the loving.
Oh my god! I was like, man, I was like, this is me. I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, this is what I say to the wife. And scene.
Look for opportune time to regurgitate this line from movies she has not underscored, not seen.
No, she's seen it. She just doesn't remember all
And
of
you
it.
think
But
she'll remember anything?
yeah,
Gonna
but she,
get that
her and
violent?
I were just talking about it a while ago. She was just like, "Oh my god, like it was such a good movie." Like, I know.
And then
So,
she looks into your eyes and she starts tearing up, thinking it's the most beautiful thing she ever. She's like, "Wait a minute."
and here's me in the background. So, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's my number two.
I like the movie. I surely I remember a lot of things about the movie. Obviously, I remember them jumping off of like leaves. They're like
Yeah,
going through the trees and they're
yeah,
hopping off of leaves because they're so light-footed.
right.
This is the one with the titanium sword, right? She steals
It
the
was a jade.
titanium sword,
It was a jade sword, I think. I
jade
don't know if it.
sword,
Yeah,
and the one that vibrates too much and
yeah.
she can handle it up
Mhm.
front.
Yep,
A guy approaches her and he's supposed to be like an iron arm and he's like
yep.
faking it and all this. I remember a good amount of this movie, and it did get a lot of awards and high acclaim.
Mhm.
And I actually did like the love stories, the parallel love stories they had. I agree with you. I liked um, the older side of Pete with Chow Yun Fat and all this. And it's like, oh,
Mhm.
but we cannot. And I'm like, just do it. Like, you're old. Just do whatever you want to do. Like, and these young people are just like running wild, shacking up together. And then I'm just like, all right. So I really enjoyed that part. My thing with that movie is that I remember the beauty of it more than I remembered the martial arts.
Believe it or not, I was the other way around. So I remember the martial arts. I
I
remember
couldn't tell
how
you.
they.
I can only tell you one fight scene, which was her fighting the. I don't remember the actors' names. I'm too drunk to remember their names. The younger girl fighting the older woman,
Zhang
and
Ziyu fighting Michelle
she's
Yeoh.
trying to yield the sword against her, and the older one is like schooling her, like, even with that sword, you're not gonna beat me because
Mm,
it doesn't like eliminate the need for skill.
right.
And like she's just using every weapon in the book
Yep.
and like this arm. I remember that one. And I was just
Right.
like, yeah, teacher. She thinks she knows. She doesn't know.
She don't
And
know anything.
I remember really liking the movie, but I just couldn't remember any hand-to-hand fight scenes where I was like, oh, that's a dope scene. Like I could have like Drunken Master or
Right.
even pretty much any movie that would be on my list.
No, it was towards the beginning that did a lot of the hand to hand scenes. It was when she stole the sword at first at night when Michelle Yeoh and Zhang Ziyu were fighting. After that when they were chasing after each other, that was one of the better hand to hand scenes. And then Jade Fox and the cop and all that other stuff. If you don't remember, but yeah, it was those scenes. But I mean, even then, it was just a really good movie. You know, like
Did you rewatch this
I
in
did.
order
Like I
to
said,
remember this? Or
yeah,
okay.
exactly. I did. That's why I was like, I had to rewatch this because I remember knowing for sure. I'm like, okay, I know this movie is going to be in my list. I just have to remember exactly, where the points are that I want to make, I want to make clear, and and I did. And then when I watched it again, I was like, wow, like that was an amazing
I
movie.
wish I could do a rewatch of these movies because when I was putting my list together, I was like, Ip Man has to be on there, and I'm just like, what about Ip Man did I like so much? And I'm just like, it was cool, and
That's what I'm
I would have
saying.
to rewatch it. And go, oh yeah, but then I was kind of like, if I have to rewatch it, should it be on my list?
That's another
Because
thing. Yep. I actually thought the same thing. I thought, if I have to rewatch these movies, should it really be on my list? I should be able to remember these movies by heart, which, granted, there's a few of them I do, like in Dragon Bloodsport, but I had to rewatch some of these because I really wanted to make sure that, okay, when I watch it again, do I still get the same feeling where I'm like, oh my God, that is amazing, or oh my God, like this is crazy,
yeah,
or whatever. And
yeah,
so,
it is very different watching it. Like even if you saw it 10 years ago,
right.
you could have been amazed by something that yourself today would be like, I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Like American Beauty. That was a great movie. Watch it 10 years later. Man, it's a creepy ass movie. Like,
That movie is so beautiful. That plastic bag. I
yeah.
mean,
It's
and the
flowing
girl
through
with
the
the rose
wind.
petal covering her nipples, just so
Yeah,
gorgeous.
me and Savari with her huge ass head. Yeah, no, I'm good with
Oh
that,
yeah, she
man.
has huge forehead.
She has like a
It's
six head. You can land
distracting. I'm
you
like,
can
she's
land
naked
airplanes
right
on
now in the
that.
field of flowers, and I can just look at her head. Like, why is her head so big? I'm like, it's really detracting from me. But I guess if I'm the older guy and my
Yeah.
life sucks, I'm just like, she's hot enough.
Eh,
Eh,
I'll do.
I've been in this house for 30 years. She'll do.
All right. Number 2, sir. We're getting closer. What do we got?
Yeah. So my number two, you're not gonna like it all.
Okay. Lay it
My
on
number
me.
two is Enter the Dragon.
Golly, really? Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah,
All right.
for me, and again, I didn't exactly put these in order, but
Mm-hmm.
I did know that Enter the Dragon had to be closer to my number one than like my number five. Again, I'm not the biggest Bruce Lee fan. I thought he was
Right.
a terrible actor,
Mm-hmm.
in his movies, and I gave him a give me because I'm just like, well, he's like Elvis, right? Like he has a movie because of who he is, not because he's an actor.
Right.
He has movies because he's Bruce Lee and he deserves it because of his skill.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, I can deal with that. Even if he's just like, oh, I am going to take you all down now, and then this is going to happen, and then I just start kicking people. He was
Right.
actually better as the Green Hornet, I thought, than he was even in his own
It's
movies. I
Kato,
enjoyed
not
him
the
more
Green
as the
Hornet.
Green Hornet.
Yeah, it's Kato, not the Green Hornet. Kato.
Oh, well, in the Green Hornet show, yeah,
In the
as
Green
Kato in the
Hornet
Green
show
Hornet,
as
or as they
Kato.
called it overseas, the Kato
Yeah, the
show.
Kato show. Thank you, Dragon to Bruce Lee story. I really appreciate you for giving that.
And I think that was because he was in small doses. He didn't have to carry the whole show each
Right.
time. Like it's just like he comes out. He always had these great appearances when he came in. He was very dynamic, and then he
Mm-hmm.
would kick some butt, and he would disappear, and then it was
Yep.
back to being the Green Hornet show rather than the Kato show.
Right. Right. Right.
So Bruce Lee is an actor, not the biggest fan. Saw Enter the Dragon, saw Chinese Connection. I think
Mm-hmm.
I've pretty much seen everything that I have a big DVD collection, which is all of Bruce Lee's greatest movies,
You
all
mean all
together in a
6?
box set.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to yell at me, I do have all of his movies, and I
No, you
have
need to
looked
yell
through
at
them,
me.
and I was just like, like I don't look at his acting. I look at what he's doing. I will credit Bruce Lee for being super fast
Yes.
and for being inventive.
All right. So, number 1, you mentioned it right in the beginning, which I'm kind of pissed about, but that's okay. Number 1, part of it, again, this goes to the near and dear category. I watched this movie as a child. My parents had this on Betamax, and then they transferred over to VHS somehow. My brothers and I watched this numerous times. And it actually, one of the things that I really loved about the movie was it was so insignificant too, was the movie had like some technology in there, and I was just like, ooh, that's really cool. The movie was Meals on Wheels, Jackie Chan. I got to put him
Oh,
twice
okay.
on there. So again, Not gonna win any. Not gonna win any. Cinema awards for acting. The dub. And by the way, if you guys ever decide to watch Wheels on Meals, watch the dub version. Do not watch the Chinese subtitle version. It's a lot funnier in dub. Um, and the fight scenes in that movie with him and Yuan Biao and Sammo Hung. By the way, Sammo Hung was like my hero growing up because he was like a tubby dude that could move.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was a tubby kid who couldn't move, and so watching him, I'm just like, wow, he's so cool. And the fight scenes that they had between them, Benny the Jet. Oh my god, the Benny the Jet Jackie Chan scene is classic.
Yeah.
Classic Jackie Chan. Oh, so good. And I actually saw a video of Benny the Jet recently. He got old, but he still got it. Like, he's still fast.
Yeah, I don't remember what year that movie is. That 1980?
I want to say it was 1980. Let me consult.
It was quite. I mean, Jackie looked young in that thing. So, I mean, that was a good while ago.
Yeah, and so it was 1984. And so one of the things that I thought that was really cool, and I was alluding to it in the beginning of my intro here, was that I loved the van. Like, remember the van in the movie?
Yeah, it was like the Inspector Gadget van.
Yeah, dude, it
had things that slid out. The tray comes out, seats come up, and it did all this. It had a little computer
thing in there. I was like blown away. I mean, between that movie and I would say, War Games was actually my one. I mean, I wouldn't say that Wheels on Meals was my inspiration for being in IT, but War Games was. But I mean, like, but watching that, you're just like, wow, that's so cool. And then, then I'm watching like War Games later on in life, and I'm like, oh my god, that's so cool. I want to do that. But the movie itself, again, Sylvia, which my mom's name. That's why my dad really liked the movie too. But yeah, it was she was super pretty too. It was just, again, very whimsical, very fun. The dialogue in there was super fun.
Young men, there were a lot to learn from that movie if you pay attention to the Sylvia character and how she uses them.
Oh yeah,
and how she uses her sexuality to like manipulate people. Absolutely. I'm like, wow, this is so much to learn.
I know. But yeah, so Wheels on Meals was my number one. Again, near and dear, both emotionally with my brothers and my family, but also just a great movie overall, kung fu wise, or martial arts wise. The stunts in there were great. The way they were moving, and it's all Peking opera stuff, right? I mean, just all stools and strings and non-strings and all that stuff. It's just so many good things involved. I loved it, and I still love it, and I still watch it, and I can watch it all the time. And if I was stuck, that would be a movie I would totally watch over and over again without any issue. So that's my number one.
Yeah, that makes total sense, and I couldn't see like somebody not having it on. Well, I think my biggest problem with that movie was that I felt it was longer than it needed to be.
That's how most movies were.
Like, it felt like it was like a 2.5-hour movie. I don't remember if it was or not. It just felt that way. Like, I remember they were teaching the girl how to skateboard and stuff. And granted, they were trying to build up this relationship. Like, you can tell the passage of time. It's like, oh, look, she's getting close to them. And where you couldn't trust her before because she was hustling everybody, now you can trust her. And they needed to build that up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, she's not a rascally scamp anymore. She's not taking wallets.
She's not a rapscallion.
And not a vagabond. The thing that bothered me was that, like, I think it was Jackie and Yin Bu. I think they were both had the hots for her.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And they were both like, oh, she's gonna be with me. Oh, I'm just like, well, how's this gonna work out? Like, are you both just gonna be with her? Like, don't we need to, like? They never put like who she likes. She doesn't seem to like anybody.
I don't know. I love the beginning of it, like when they wake up and like they're doing a routine.
The routine.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool.
They open different doors, even though it's the same room.
Door. I just love, like, I remember Yun Biao doing the Shaolin, like, wooden dummy, and then like Jackie Chan just does one thing.
He does one punch, like, okay,
forget it, I'm done.
I love Jackie. I will say that Jackie Chan is my number one martial artist. I enjoy him more than anyone. And I respect him more than anyone. And, besides the fact of him doing his own stunts, I think that he's done a lot of experimentation.
Yes.
And, like, different fighting styles. I've seen a lot of his really old stuff people wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
He did one movie where he made a fighting style out of every emotion, like anger and sadness was one of them.
I think I remember that one. Yeah. I
Yeah,
forgot what
that's
it's
pretty
called.
old. What's the other one? Eagle versus
Even a snake versus eagle.
Snake versus Eagle, things like that.
Yeah.
Mr. Nice Guy, and things like.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done so much.
Right.
All this to say that my number one is Drunken Master,
Ah!
which you had already started with. I find that movie endlessly entertaining. So this saves us a lot of time since that's already my number one.
Wow.
So you were pissed that I brought up Wheels on Meals, and I was just like, you brought up Drunken Master. I'm like, God damn it, man. So if we hang out, we already know what we want to do if we want to get along. We'll just throw on some kung fu movies and we're good to go.
Good to go, man. There's no
Drunken Master 2 was my number one, and I did see the original Drunken Master, which I think was 78.
No, that was it was 80 something. Hold on, let me get it.
I remember the first one was like more in China, and then the second one was a little bit more Americanized.
Yes.
And that was 93.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with that one. It was watching the second one that made me go back and find the first one and to see if it was as good or better. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, no, I like the second one better. I almost felt like because he had already did it, he was able to refine what he was going to do for the second one.
Right.
And kind of work out like the choreography, like, oh, well, I've already worked with this style and I can do it better now.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that
technology was better.
Yeah, it's not a movie he could have done if he was younger because he wouldn't have been skilled enough, and it's not a movie he could have done if he was older because he wouldn't be able to pull it off.
Right. Totally.
It was the stuff he was doing. Was, again, you're bringing up wire work a lot, and that plays heavily into kung fu and martial arts movies.
Yep.
And this was just like you would think it's all wire work, and it's not. And, and that's why I think Jackie made it a point that at the end of the movie, he showed how he made everything.
Right.
When they drop the thing from the ceiling and he has to roll out of the way and he shows like, I didn't make it the first time. This thing actually hit my shoulder. When he gets kicked into the coals and he couldn't get out fast enough and they have to use the extinguisher and all this, Jackie was brilliant for having to show that stuff because Jackie wanted you to know, hey, this is not wire work. Yeah, I'm doing it when you see me get kicked off of a second floor of the stairs. I'm getting kicked off the second floor of the stairs. There's no mat under there. There's no inflatable thing. There's nothing to catch me. I am just getting kicked and I'm falling over. And if I get it wrong, I'm screwed. Yep. He's breaking fingers. The thing where he's like spitting out fire. Yeah. That last fight scene is. You give me that last fight scene, and I will just replay that alone by itself. Yes, the moves, the part where he's switching styles, and if you're not real familiar with martial arts, what Jackie does in the last fight scene, if you've seen the last fight scenes, that he switches between different kung fu styles. Like he switches from eagle claw to snake style, to monkey style. Right. And a lot of people don't they're like, well, he's doing drunken kung fu. I'm like, no, he does the stance from eagle style where he gets up on one foot. Right. And then he does this thing where he goes snake style and goes up the guy's vest and then grabs his throat, which is snake move. He jumps on the guy and starts hitting him, which is a monkey style move, which made sense because Jackie studied all of those where drunken master style was like kind of something he invented. Right. Now, drunken boxing is a real thing. I'm not going to say it's not real. It's mostly predicated from that movie. It came from that. Yep. But he was really taking styles he knew and inventing the moves as he went. But he was borrowing moves. That one where he flips over backwards and grabs the guy by the throat. Yep. Which came up maybe 2 or 3 times. Yep. That's an eagle style move, and a lot of people wouldn't know that. They're like, "Oh, it's some." And he made it fit the style where it's like, "Oh, I'm drinking," but it was really just a grab. Right. So. Super inventive. If you know martial arts, you'd be super impressed by like, oh, look what he did with that move. He customized it to make it seem like it fit into one style. Right. This is like the Twilight Zone for me. I could gush on and on about this and tell you about all the things I know about it and all the things I've noticed about it. I've seen it endless amount of times. Yeah. From beginning to end, again, from him fighting with the spear underneath the train. People don't realize how hard that is. Yeah. To stay crouched down under a train is hellacious on your knees.
Yeah.
And this is why I say if he was older, he couldn't have done it. Like you would have to do it in multiple takes because
Right.
to stay that low down and to roll under a train is very hard.
Yep.
The comedy was there, like
Yeah, the comedy was
the
there.
wife playing mahjong and then hiding the tiles and all
Yeah.
this.
Oh,
There
so
was
good.
nothing this movie didn't have. It had everything. It had
yeah.
action. It had brilliant martial arts. It had
Yeah.
comedy. And that was the one that really made me go, wow, Jackie Chan is an unappreciated genius.
Yes.
And this dude's been making movies since like 77, 78.
Yep.
Starting
As
as
a stunt double.
man.
Yep.
Yeah. He's the one that kicked out of the window in the Bruce Lee movie.
Yep.
And with all the makeup on and you can't recognize him. But
Mm-hmm.
he was very smart in making his own thing because when Bruce Lee was big, everybody wanted another Bruce Lee.
Right.
It's like, oh, do that. And Jackie was like, okay, I'll do that. And then Jackie wised up and he's just like, no, like, you don't need me to be that guy. That guy's already that guy.
Right.
I need to do something different than what he's doing. He's being super serious. And the thing that turned me off about Bruce Lee, one of the things that turned me off about Bruce Lee, other than his acting, was that he almost seemed invincible in his movies.
Right. Well,
like,
he was a hero. Like, I mean, like, you know, there was no heroes that were, you know, of Asian descent, right? First, and then, you know, being like an untouchable badass. I mean, he's not Die Hard. Like, this isn't, you know, we're not comparing this to Die Hard. Remember, Die Hard, he was just a regular dude. Like, it was just, you know, it was John McClane.
And that was more Jackie. And you bring up a good point because I think Bruce Lee was more concerned with the Asian image when he was just like, I don't want to make my people look bad. I need to represent. And so he almost made himself like he was so fast, almost invincible. You got the guys attacking one at a time.
Right.
Because he didn't want to look weak. He wanted to look proud and strong for his people.
Right.
And Jackie Chan was more of like the everyman. Jackie Chan would like take his licks. He would get hit.
Yep.
If a bunch of gang members ran at Jackie Chan would be like, oh my God.
Oh,
and Jackie Chan would run. And Rumble in the Bronx, he's like, I'm not going to fight all of you. That's ridiculous. I'm tired.
Yeah.
And he was the first guy I saw like, he's tired. Like that makes sense that he's tired and he's not going to fight.
Right. So yeah, I mean, Jackie Chan. I mean, obviously, this is, you know, could this be Jackie Chan's top, you know, what's your 5 Jackie Chan? Probably, maybe. But I'm actually, to be honest with you, I'm actually pretty surprised. You know, because a lot of people watch Drunken Master 2, or not a lot of people, I would say, and hold it in that high regard. I think it was one of the most amazing, like, you know, martial arts movies I've ever seen. You know, and it wasn't like nearly as accredited as, like, say, like Super Cop, you know, or you know, or like Rumble in the Bronx or whatever. But those were all Rumble in the Bronx was his breakthrough in America. I think
Jackie Chan's first strike.
Was that the first?
I believe that was his first American movie, and then Rumble in the Bronx probably elevated his career.
Okay, I think I can see that, because you know what I didn't know, because I was doing research on this topic, was I didn't realize that Jackie Chan's First Strike is part of the Police Story series.
You just educated me to that because I did not know that either.
Oh, all right. Well, good.
I didn't know that was anything to do with that series.
So yeah, Police Story. There's a ton of police stories. Like for example, Super Cop is Police Story 3, and then there's actual Police Story, the first one, which is again another great movie. That was the one where he put himself on the string of lights and like fell down through the entire thing. Yeah, that was amazing. It was like all plate glass and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's wow. Okay, well, like I said, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm a little perturbed, just to say, because the fact that we not only did we have one, we had two picks that were actually the same picks.
Yep.
That's kind of unheard of. Episode 7. Make sure you guys mark that. So yeah, that's I didn't just realize it now. So yeah, I think that's it, right? We're done. We have our 5.
If we watch movies together, we just need to watch Drunken Master.
We just need to watch Drunken Master and then watch Bloodsport. You know what I'm going to do? The next time I come to your pad, I think that's what's going to happen. I think instead of practicing Street Fighter, I'm just going to watch those movies with you over and over again. And my nephew can just do whatever. I don't care, but we'll just watch those and we'll be all right. Because
you want to watch Bloodsport? Hey, you want to watch Drunken Master? Yes, do that. Let's get drunk and watch Drunken Master. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh man! All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening / watching. If you guys liked what you listened to or liked what you watched, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, hit that bell notification. Make sure you guys get notified with all of our What's Your Five podcast episodes.